Alrighty, now we can move back to a nice normal map. Wait a minute. Is that 8 high height? Yeah, so much for that plan. Welcome to Hot Heights, another excellent map. Well, another map that excellently embodies why we shouldn't use these types of maps anymore. So this round I am facing It's Buzzy, who has Q9 and a bunch of hounds. In a semi-mirror like this, it's important to note who has the advantage in the mirror parts. In this game, I should have the advantage there because my Q9 has 2 range more than It's Buzzy's Q9 does. So for example, if I just traded the microcore for all of the hounds, I would have the advantage there in the late game of Q9 Laglor versus Q9. That doesn't necessarily mean that we can always force that exact situation to arise, but it's important to note it and think about it and use it to help determine how you want to play the game. My plan moving into this one was to move Laglor once. I felt that it was necessary here. I really wanted to have Laglor be able to provide a range boost to at least some of that max height area up on that mountain of lava, and then to send forth Microcore after Laglor moved out. There'll be a lot of options for what we can do with Microcore. There's that one triangle partially in the start zone, another triangle just outside the start zone, and we can also just rush up towards that max height if we're able to get there before the hounds get on us. So we have a lot of options depending on how the hounds' movement rolls go, who wins initiative, and those types of variables to see how they play in. We win round 1 initiative and move Laglor up to where he can cover 1 row of that max height area and also 1 row of that bottom triangle just outside of our start zone, as well as, of course, that entire triangle in our start zone. Our opponent misses the hound's movement roll and uses a bunch of small movements to get the hounds away from Marku. I then roll up my microcore fairly aggressively, knowing that the hounds aren't going to be on us quite as quickly. Back over to It's Buzzy, who manages to roll a no movement again for the hounds, and is really struggling to get these hounds out of the start zone. This gives me an opportunity to get some micros up on height and take some initial heighted shots down at hounds, which I do, and I'm able to get 2 hounds dead off of those attacks. Hounds finally remember how to move properly and advance pretty far, with one of them taking a nice little heighted perch down on that southern hill. Going into round 2 now, I realized when I was placing my order markers that I had made a pretty massive mistake here, where 1 hound can get next to 3 microcore if I lose initiative and the hounds get good movement. So that's unfortunate. I think that I still have to just take the chance and put all the order markers on the micros, though. Maybe that's a mistake. I do end up putting 3 order markers on micros with 1 on Q9, but it's possible that I should have just done order marker 1 on micros with 2-3 on Q9, planning to pivot. Tough to decide here. The thing is, if I go all micros and win initiative, the upside is so massive because I can get at least 2 of those micros out of hounds range up on that huge hill, and it's just going to be nearly impossible for hounds to take them out. So the upside of going all micros is quite high. But the downside is also pretty big, because if we lose initiative and they get in there, they might just kill 3 of them, and that would put us pretty significantly behind the 8 ball there. So, not sure, looking back here, what I should go with at this point in time. The mistake is obviously the turn before, where I put the micros in bad positions. But I do end up just rolling with micros and hoping for the best. We do lose initiative, and the hounds hit their movement roll, the fun combo that we were hoping to dodge. And we see the hounds do move into that god spot there and develop up a little bit as well. The hounds, between plaguing and attacks, also end up killing all 3 of those micros. So that just puts us in a brutal spot going into the rest of the round. My positioning goal here is to spread out my micros such that no one hound can plague more than 1 micro. Worth noting that 1 hound could get to 2 microcore behind Laglor there, but to do it, it would have to take an LEA to get away from Laglor. We take our shots, only 1 with height, and kill 1 hound. We then get massively bailed out by the hounds missing another movement roll. With only a couple move here, the ones that are already fairly forward end up staying where they are. probably just because there's not really anywhere better they can go to that's slightly further forward, and instead we see several hounds develop out of the back, moving towards our microcore. One micro ascends to that near max heighted spot, which is going to be a real problem for its Buzzy. Another one comes forward, and the last one moves around behind Q9, where you can't quite see it out of screen. I'm not sure I love these last two moves in hindsight here. I'm pretty sure that my thought process was I wanted that second micro to be able to get up towards that heighted spot as well, if possible. And with the third microcore, I wanted to have the flexibility of going to either triangle, the one north of Q9 or south of Q9. But I'm not sure that this is the most optimal thing, looking back at it now. We get several shots off, including 2 from height, and both heighted shots manage to get kills, which is big. And then the poor hounds flub yet another movement roll. This time they roll a 4 movement, which is better than 2, but still not enough to get to any of my microcore. And the hounds have really had a problem with moving this game. This is the 4th turn where they have not managed to get their full movement, and it's only round 2. The forward micro is now able to make his way up towards that max height spot, and the one from the back just goes back to the triangle that he was on before. We take our 3 shots, and we get 2 kills on the hounds, leaving It's Buzzy with just 2 hounds, the one you can see and one hidden behind that small ruin on his side of the map. And time to take another picture commemorating another absolutely gross way that we have managed to break one of these maps this event. These pictures of broken maps were the highlight for me. These maps are not good, y'all. Going into round 3 now. This time, there's not nearly as much risk with just putting all our order markers on microcore. Even though there's only 3 of them left now instead of 6, there's just nothing that can immediately threaten them. So I do throw all the order markers on microcore here. I'm expecting Q9 to be coming in at some point here. I'm hoping to get several attacks of 4v7 on him first, but we'll see how that interaction plays out. We win initiative, which is a little bit unfortunate here, because while we can kill that one hound, it's going to allow Q9 to come in at the end of the round and potentially get an initiative switch into our microcore. I roll that back micro up forward, hoping to be able to get all 3 microcore up on that max heighted position before Q9 comes in, and take the shots on that hound, killing it. Q9 moves up here towards my position, and importantly is entirely out of Laglord Aura range, which is a smart spot for Q9 to go to. I now have a decision between retreating all of my microcore up that hill versus retreating 2 of them up that hill and sending the 3rd one forward to where I can get a single heighted attack on Q9 4v7. Hindsight, I'm not sure which I should have done. In-game, I just run them all up that hill, hoping to have that whole squad of them on that position, but I can see a lot of merit for shipping one of them forward into Q9 can't Queglex back into it, which means that it's just going to be a single attack 4v4 with stealth armor, or Q9 comes forward to Queglex it and becomes vulnerable to the other 2 microcore shooting from Laglor's aura. So, hindsight here, I think I probably should have run 1 microcore forward and taken that attack. I think it forces Q9 to come in a little bit faster than he otherwise would want to, but it's not what I do in-game. In-game, I just run all those micros up that hill. Back over to Q9, who's going to move up as far forward as they can here. Little in-game note, It's Buzzy was talking at this point in the game about how he'd been trying to get Eldgrim killed the entire game by plaguing him 6 times, in the hopes that Q9 would have 6 move here to be able to make it over from 2 height to 2 height, instead of having to spend a turn dipping down into this little 1 height divot. And Eldgrim stubbornly refused to take any wounds the entire time from Plague. So, just a little note there. And then Q9 takes 1 shot up at that first micro and does kill it. Now I make a series of compounding mistakes that we're going to watch Max punish me. So that's fun. The first mistake here is I had order marker 3 on Q9 instead of the microcore. I'm sure in my head I was trying to hedge a little bit, but Q9 was just so far away and so unlikely to have killed all the micros by this point in the round that I think I should have just had all these on micros. Those micro heighted attacks on Q9 are so good, and I'm now passing up on 2 of those 4v7s on Q9 because I have a wasted order marker here on Q9 instead. And now I'm going to make the follow-up mistake to that by being way too aggressive with Q9 here. I end up bringing in Q9 to take the first shot, which is a good thing to have, but it's a 4v7, which is fine. But I leave myself vulnerable to His Q9 then taking height and getting the 5v7 and potentially getting an initiative switch. And even if it just does 1 or 2 wounds here on this one attack and I don't do any, that's really going to make It's Buzzy's order markers going into the next round a lot easier than mine are going to be. And I'm just putting myself in pain for no reason. If I have this order marker in Q9, my Q9 just needs to hang out in the back. Probably take one of those heights that he's set up for. He could get to either triangle and just chill there and wait for the other Q9 to come in. But I don't do that. I move forward, take the 4v7, and do not do any wounds. Back over to the other Q9, who is going to move up to the level 2 sand and take a 5v7 down on my Q9. Which, yes, that is 5 out of 5 skulls, and I take 3 wounds off of that. Now my order markers are hell, and It's Buzzy's order markers are easy. I feel like I'm fairly far behind in the game state here and need to take some risks on initiative. I end up putting 1 order marker each on Laglor Q9 and then 2 on Micros. What I actually have here is 1 on Q9, 2, 3 on Micros with the X on Laglor. My hope is that I win initiative and am able to get through everything one piece before It's Buzzy does, or maybe that It's Buzzy wins initiative and doesn't think I actually put an order marker on Q9 and so doesn't attack him. Either outcome would be fairly good for me. We do win initiative, which is pretty big. We back up our Q9 onto that triangle and take the 4v7 on It's Buzzy's Q9, but don't do any wounds. It's Buzzy's Q9 now takes the level 4 lava in the middle of the map and Queglixes up into my Micros, killing one of them. My last Micro returns fire and does manage to put 2 wounds on Q9, which gives me a shot here again. And then Q9 Queglixes back up, finishing off my last Micro and burning my order marker 3. It's Buzzy now has an interesting decision between taking the regular attack or the special attack and what targets to go for. His Q9 ends up backing up and taking the 5v7 on my Q9, which does end up killing my Q9, but I'm not sure that it's the best decision. I think that it's better off for Q9 here to take the special attack, either going for my Q9 first and then Laglor after if it gets Q9, or just starting on Laglor. The merits here are that the odds of his Q9 killing my Q9 are pretty similar between the 5v7 versus the 3x 3v7s. And if it happens to get the kill on the first attack, then there's just 2 extra attacks left over for Laglor. So basically when the EVs are pretty similar, it's nice to give yourself the upside of being able to shoot extra things if you happen to have the positive variance early on in the turn. There's also an argument for just Queglixing into Laglor too, though, to make my order markers hell going into the next round. Because if Q9 can put, say, like 4 wounds on Laglor here, and then I have a 1-life Q9 and a 2-life Laglor, it's pretty rough for me to split my order markers between those 2 spots. Order markers are easy now for both of us, though. I go all Laglor, and It's Buzzy goes all Q9, and there's not much else to do but roll the dice here. So I lose initiative. We're going to see Q9 hop up towards lava here and Queglix into Laglor. I know Laglor takes at least 1 wound there, but I don't actually have all the wounds in frame, so I'm not sure how many. We return fire and don't do any damage. Q9 is going to return fire into Laglor, staying where he's at. Again, I'm not sure exactly how many wounds are being dealt at each step here. Laglor's making his way towards height now, and we don't do any wounds to Q9. Q9 is going to flip around somewhere around this middle ground here and shoot back up. I know that at the end of this Q9 turn, Laglor has 5 wounds on him, though. I'm not sure exactly when those were dealt, but after this Queglixing, we have 5 wounds left, which we're about to roll for here. Yep, rolling now. And then Laglor moves back up, and we are going to get the auto load off, and we get Q9. Super lucky there. We do get him. So now we have a 1-life Laglor and Isamu versus Marku, Eldgrim, and 1 Hound. I'm going to put all my order markers on Laglor here and basically just stay where I'm at on the high ground, hoping that these figures come at us one at a time. The first order of business for It's Buzzy is to Lava Dunk Eldgrim here, so that's fun. Eldgrim goes on Marku. I'm pretty happy to bide my time here, though. With all of the lava on this map, most of the time Marku might roll a betrayal is just going to end his life. And so the more turns that Marku takes at this stage of the game, the better for me. Just increasing the chance that he hits that 20% and I can lava dunk him. There's a lot of dancing back and forth here that I'm going to speed through until we are actually ready to clash figures. At this point, both the Hound and Marku are behind that ruin, hiding from Laglor line of sight. We're going to see It's Buzzy move the Hound out in front of the ruin now, and in-game, I could not figure out why this was happening. It seemed like he was just giving me the Hound shot for free, and I should have questioned that more. I didn't, however, question it, and I just take the shot at the Hound. I do get the Hound here, but I'm now too close, which allows Marku's 8 move now, which is what I forgot, that Marku had Eldgrim on him. So Marku has 8 move, and he's able to come in and engage Laglor, and he does get the kill there. So I completely fall for this trap that It's Buzzy set for me, and look like an utter fool. So now it's just Marku versus Isamu. We're going to see Marku fly in here. Thankfully, Isamu hits the first Vanish roll for me, so he's alive. And now we're going to see Marku betray. So Betrayal has hit, and because he has 8 move now, the same 8 move he used to beat me, Marku goes ahead and takes a little lava bath here, which is going to end the game. And we pull to 4-1 on the day.